Hello everyone, and welcome back to another watercolor tutorial. It's only been 2 weeks since I last filmed, but it feels like an eternity because so much is happening in my world. But let's just get right into this tutorial. It's inspired by Laura Moore, and it is going to be a winter scene because this will be released in January, and I thought that I was like done filming for the year because it is still May 2023, but I think unfortunately what is happening is going to take longer than December of this year, or of 2023. So I'm gonna try and pre-film for January, sorry, 2024. Gosh, May, let me start that again. It is May 2024 that I'm filming this. And I thought I was pre-filming the entirety of 2024 because of something that is happening. This video is going to be released in January of 2025, but because what we're doing is going to take longer than I thought, I have to pre-film some more for, I would say, January and February. I'd be safe. Anyways, I'll get more into that in a moment, but first I just took a pencil and outlined my mountains. So we're going to be painting this super simple, well, we hope it's simple, mountain painting. And I've just penciled in, like, I'm going to have a mountain, a hill, kind of more mountain and hilly areas there. And I'm going to just take my eraser and erase it so that it's barely visible, because I don't want it to show through. Since this is going to be a very snowy mountain, it's going to be very white. So, you know. And then I'm going to take light blue, baby blue, whatever blue you have. You can just take blue and then water it down if you don't have the appropriate color. Naturally, no, my toilet paper fell on the ground. I'm not ready here. My palette is just caked with all the different colors. Sorry, so I'm taking my blue and I'm just gonna apply it to that top portion. I'm gonna overlap it. No, I'm not gonna overlap it. I'm tempted to overlap it with the mountains, but I'm going to be careful not to do that because I want my mountains to be white. So let's just be mindful here. So I pre-filmed, how do I explain this? It is May 2024 right now. I pre-filmed, so for the videos that are currently releasing in May, I pre-filmed back in like January, I think, or the beginning of 2024. And because I filmed so far in advance, a lot of the things, like there was a period where I didn't talk about personal things and I didn't do my usual banter because I had quite a few requests of people not appreciating that, so I stopped for a while. And now those videos are starting to be released, and all of you guys are so freaking nice. You're all like, don't worry about those people, we love hearing about you talk. Well, you are not contributing in a healthy way to my ego, because I love to talk. So, but don't worry, that didn't continue for very long. I did that for a few videos, but then I just got really bored. And if I'm gonna continue painting, I'm gonna just talk about random things, because otherwise silence is a little bit boring. And there was somebody, I'm so sorry, I don't remember what your username is, but they said something like the chickens and the rogue squirrel, and it just took me back to that time in my life, which was at the moment of filming this almost a year ago. when that squirrel attacked one of my chickens. And I don't know if I already said this, but those chickens last week, a fox, unfortunately, very unfortunately, attacked my chickens. And it was a little bit tragic because 2 of them died. And the fox just left them needlessly, and that really upset me. That's really lame. Like, if you're going to take out my chickens, at least eat them. At least make their life worthwhile. But, I mean, I guess that's wildlife. They do whatever the heck they want. So, for this first mountain that's being overlapped, I do want to add a little bit of shading to it. Not anything drastic, so I'm watering it down a lot. And yeah, I'm just gonna add a little bit of, I took a green and mixed it with a little bit of this blue and a little bit of gray. And I'm just adding like shading, and it's not even, I don't even have like a method to it. I'm just kind of adding some shading in random areas because we're painting evergreens over top, so it's not going to matter that much anyway. But I just wanted some sort of distinction there. And then I'm going to do the same in the layers below because we want some shading going on. So I'm going to have like this weird rocky area. Technically, I should do that after. I will do that after. When I actually have things down, then I'll do the shading. So we want to switch gears and paint our evergreens, and you know, technically these are supposed to be very abstract evergreens, simple triangles essentially in the distance. Whether I end up doing that or not is yet to be seen, because I tend to just overdo things when it comes to painting. And I want these to be fairly dark, so I am going to mix black into my green and call it a day. So I'm going to start, I'm a little worried that this is still wet, so I'm actually going to start on this part and then do this part later. But basically we are bordering pines. We're using evergreen trees or pine trees, whatever you want to paint, and using them to outline our sections of mountain, if that makes sense. So I have like a bit of a hair here. Don't know what that is. Ah! Oh my gosh, this is taped to the... There we go. So I'll start here, and I'll just have these little evergreens coming down, and the bottoms are not going to be very natural looking. They're just going to follow the angle of the what we drew here. So I'm just going to continue that, and I'll kind of go like this, following my pencil mark. Just make sure that with each one that you paint, it's lower than the previous one. I mean, obviously some of them can be taller because not all pine trees grow at the same length and the same speed and whatever, but I think that will look nicest, but you do whatever you want. So yes, this, I feel like I already talked about this in a tutorial, but maybe I didn't. So if I'm repeating myself, I apologize. But here's what happened. I was on a phone call with a doctor. Kind of a useless phone call, but that's been my experience lately with, anyway, I'm not gonna get into that. So I was on this phone call, so I saw my chickens very aggressively and panically, is that even a word, running past my living room window, because we let them free range in the day. And I didn't think very much of it. Like, they kind of ran, like all of them were running in a panic, and usually only 1 or 2 runs in a panic when a leaf drops from a tree, or, you know, a squirrel runs into their path. But this time, like, they were running pretty frantically, But I was like, you know, I'm on this important call, so I'm not going to bother with trying to figure out what's going on. 5 minutes later, I'm done the call. I go outside and I don't see any chickens. And again, I'm not concerned because this is a regular thing. Like, they go really deep into the forest oftentimes. So, you know, I didn't think anything of it. I had to go to the shed anyway. So I'm walking to the shed and all of a sudden I see a lot of feathers. A lot of feathers. And that's when I started to get a little bit concerned. So I followed the feathers and yep, there was one dead chicken laying just a little bit into our forest. And that kind of broke my heart a little bit because that thing was alive. I saw it alive 5 minutes prior to that. And I could have prevented this to some degree. And so I felt really not great. And if this was a year ago, if I didn't have a child, I think I would have had a much harder time than I was having. Because last year, when a squirrel got into the run, the chickens were panicking like crazy. And so either the squirrel injured the chicken by accident or the chicken injured itself trying to get away from the squirrel in the run. But where was I going with that? Oh, right. So last year, one of the chickens got injured with the squirrel, and I was pretty devastated. Like, I cried for days because this poor thing was limping and hobbling around, and I think I was just very hormonal because I was pregnant. So this year, when I found a dead chicken, I was really surprised that my reaction was not panic this time, but more so, well, that really sucks. And I had my baby with me, so I could not explore this matter further. I called my husband. He was on his way home from work anyway. But then I heard crows in our forest. And I don't hear crows in our forest very often, so I thought that was very odd. And I just assumed that maybe they were turkey vultures and they were, you know, having their way with another dead chicken, because so far I had only found one of the 5 chickens. And so I just wanted to go and confirm that. So I went into the forest, into mosquito land, and these crows were, like, every time I'd walk a little bit further, like, they would also move further. And that's not typical behavior, like crow behavior. They're not that like, you can come up really close to a crow and it won't fly away, especially when it's got a meal. So I was like, what is going on here? And I keep walking and I keep walking, and the crows keep going further and further, and they're kind of escaping me at this point. And then I look into the distance and I realize that they're not escaping me. They're not trying to get away from me. They're following the fox, because I saw the fox at that moment. And I didn't see if it was carrying anything, but at that point I was like, okay, it is a fox, because I wasn't sure. Like, my chickens have never been attacked by a raccoon, which I've heard is very gruesome. A raccoon has gotten into their coop before, but it was a very young raccoon, so they just went after the food of the chicken rather than the chickens themselves. They must have never tasted chicken before. That's what we were told. And we trapped that raccoon and relocated it. That was back when we were a little more merciful towards the animals that harm our chickens. But what is my point? Yeah, that's when I saw that fox, I was like, okay, so it is a fox and not a raccoon. But now that I've confirmed that it's a fox, I don't want to keep walking closer to the fox. I'm holding a baby, and that's not very wise. I don't know what kind of fox this is. So I retreated back home. And I was very sad. And then what happened after, like 15 minutes later, I look out my window and one of the chickens is there's a chicken that's walking, it's alive. So I was like, oh, thank goodness, we've got one chicken. And so I quickly grabbed her and I put her into the run. And then, sorry, this part should be dry, so I'm gonna just move on to doing this top part before finishing this middle section. And I'm gonna make sure to make my trees a tad bit smaller than these ones, although doesn't matter that much. So yeah, I put that one chicken, so that was 2 chickens, one dead, one alive. And what happened next? Then my husband came home and he took the treat bag that we have. It's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever seen those commercials for those, they're called Temptations for like cat treats, or maybe they're called Catisfactions. Whatever they're called, the commercial was like the owner was shaking the bag and the cat heard that sound from like across the city and it ran home to get his Catisfactions. That is quite literally what happens with our chickens. We just shake the little grub bag that we have and they come running from wherever they are in the forest. So he did that, and I heard one of the chickens like so loud doing a chicken call, and she ran over from like the neighbor's, I'm assuming the neighbor's direction. One of our neighbors is like 100 feet from us, so she was like all the way over there. And so that was another live chicken that was accounted for, thank goodness. But then my husband found another dead one, and so that was 2 alive, 2 dead. And the 5th one was missing, so we just assumed that the fox took the last one. Because we were told that what a fox does is it kills and then it comes back. So we assume that's why he left 2 of the dead chickens, because he took the 3rd. But then 2 hours later, the chicken just appeared. Like, I look out the window, it's almost dark, and there's just a chicken, a very, very frazzled, rough looking chicken hobbling around. And this chicken we named Cutie Pie. And she's also the one that got attacked by the squirrel, or the squirrel injured her last year. So this chicken has been through so much. Oh, and not to mention, this is also the chicken that 2 of the other chickens were quite literally eating pieces of. Sorry, I might be getting a little... Chickens are ruthless, man. Like, they just do not care about their own. They have a pecking order, and there's no sympathy in the chicken world. So Cutie Pie has been through some stuff in her life, unfortunately. Poor girl. But she was alive, pretty rough. We kept her in a separate box for a few days just to recover, because she was not acting like a chicken. I think she saw her life flash before her eyes. She was missing quite a few feathers. But she is back with the other 2, so 3 of them survived, which, yeah, really makes me angry that this stupid fox killed 2 of my chickens and didn't even take them, didn't even eat them, just left them there. Not impressed with that. So that was the drama of, I think that was 2 weeks ago. And if this is my second time telling that story, then sorry. I do have lots of things to talk about. There's so many I kind of can't talk about yet because there's a lot of things up in the air. I do want to add some tiny trees in the distance in this painting, and I'm just kind of dotting some of them on because that's how in the distance I want them to look. They're so small that they're just basically dots. And I am raising some of them every so often. I'll have some here. What else is new and exciting? My baby has slept in the last 4 nights. 2 of the nights she slept through the night, and 2 of the nights she slept until 4, and then I fed her, and then she slept another 2 hours until 6. So she consistently sleeps from at least 7 p.m. until 4 a.m., sometimes until 7 a.m. until 6 a.m. Sorry, 7 p.m. until 6 a.m. So life is a lot easier in our household the last while. I know not to necessarily count on this because babies change every week. They go through new growth spurts and developments and all the things every week, every month. But I also don't know if I mentioned, I'm sure I mentioned this because this was a huge part of our life, but yes, I did mention this, that my baby is free from eczema. I healed her from the inside out. It's another update. I mean, it's only been 2 weeks, guys, since I filmed, but it feels like it's been way longer. So I'm like, oh, what are all the things that happened in my life? I was really hoping, because this, like I said, this is going to be released in January, and I was really hoping that I would be filming in real time by January, like in January. I'm filming in January 2025 for January 2025. But, you know, as far as the adventure that we are about to embark on, there typically are so many delays, so I don't want to take the risk and not have any content because I won't be able to film once all of this starts. So I was really hoping to start the year with like, hey, it's 2025, I'm filming in real time again. Here are all the exciting things that have happened in like the last 6 to 8 months that I haven't told you about because I wasn't filming. But yep, that is not a thing yet. But I promise I will explain, not that you guys care that much, but I am just trying to create some sort of like rocky patch here. Trying to make it look like rock, but that does not look like rock. I think what I have to do is dry my brush and sort of dry brush this out. What I am gonna do is add those shadows that I wanted to add at the beginning. So I'm gonna add some coming down here. I'm gonna have a little bit of shadowage coming from these trees, so and then I'm gonna have some, I don't even know if I'd call this shadow, but just, it's a bit too dark. I'm hoping that will dry less dark. And then these guys, I have to paint some more trees over here, so I'll do the trees first. I have been so tired lately, which is, I don't know what's going on, but like my baby is sleeping a lot better than she was a month ago, for example. But I am more tired than ever. It's like there's an inverse correlation. I could fall asleep right now. I'm not somebody that can typically nap during the day, but I could fall asleep right now. If I put my head down, I think I'd be able to. And I don't know what the cause of that is. I've had a lot of strange symptoms lately. So I don't know what's going on. But I chose to paint instead. I kind of felt inspired. I was really, I don't want to say I was burnt out, but I spent those few weeks where I filmed literally like 4 months worth of content. I was burnt. No, I don't want to say burnt out because that is exaggerating. I was not burnt out, but I was really feeling uninspired. I was kind of done with painting. And I didn't want to paint anymore. So once I reached my goal of painting until the end of the year, I was like, okay, I need a break. And then I was excited because I was like, I'm totally done for like 8 months. And then I realized I'm not done because I don't want to leave you guys without tutorials in the future. I'm just adding little dots for pine trees in the distance, just in this middle section here. I forgot that I have to do something. There are so many things that I still have to do, and I totally forgot about one particular thing that I told someone I was going to do yesterday, and I did not. The baby is sleeping, by the way. It is a Tuesday, and the baby is currently napping. And lately, her naps, like typically her naps are around 2 hours long. Sometimes I even get 2.5 hours. But the last couple days, she's only been pulling like 1 hour, 1 hour 15 naps, which means that she would be waking up any moment right now. I need to determine how far along I am in this little painting. Is this even... Oh man, that was blurry the whole time. Sorry guys. I hope that you didn't notice until I focused it. This was supposed to be this rocky patch, but I really butchered it. So I am going to try and just paint some trees over top to fix it, to make it look a little bit nicer. Okay. How long? We're like 30 minutes into this. I think that we should just stop there, because this is just supposed to be a very simple mountain winter painting, and I didn't really totally achieve what I wanted to. I wanted this area to be way denser than it is. But I don't want to keep going and then overdo it, because I do have that tendency. And I would like to paint one more tutorial before the baby wakes up. So I think that I might just stop there. So thank you guys very much for watching. I'm going to peel this tape off. Let me know what you think in the comments. I always love reading your comments. You guys are so nice. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and I will be sure to see you in the next tutorial.